All right, so we're diving deep today into some really interesting stuff from Psalm 95.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
From the New Living Translation. You can find this on YouVersion.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating look at a couple of things. I mean, really, this whole psalm is about worship, about obedience to God, and also kind of pulls in some really powerful lessons from history.
For sure.
And I think it's worth mentioning just quickly that YouVersion, if you haven't checked it out,
Yeah.
it's a digital ministry from Life Church.
Yeah.
And they offer a ton of different Bible translations.
Right.
But I think our goal today is to kind of pull out what are the big important messages from this psalm.
Totally.
And why should we care about this, ancient text so many centuries later?
Yeah. Why does this still matter to us today? I think that's the big question. And I think the psalm, right off the bat, gives us a clue.
Yeah.
Because it starts with this super energetic call to worship.
Yeah.
Right? We're told to sing joyfully to the Lord, to shout to the Lord who is called the rock of our salvation.
Rock of our salvation.
Yes, super active and, vivid.
Oh, absolutely. And then it says, come before him with thanksgiving, sing psalms of praise to him. So it's almost like gratitude is this foundation.
Yeah.
Before you even get to the praise part.
Totally. You have to recognize and appreciate what's already been given.
Yeah.
Before you can kind of move into these deeper expressions of, praise.
So the psalm doesn't just say, hey, go worship. It actually gives reasons for why we should worship.
Absolutely. And I mean, the reasons are pretty compelling. I mean, verse 3, it's saying, for the Lord is a great God.
Right.
A great king above all gods.
So it's really emphasizing just how powerful.
Totally setting up this idea of his authority.
Yeah.
Ultimate authority. And I think this is where it gets interesting because, it connects this greatness to creation.
Yes.
The song says in his hand are the depths of the earth.
The depths of the earth.
Mountain peaks belong to him. He made the seas and formed the dry land.
So it's painting this picture of God as the creator.
He made all this stuff.
And he owns it. This is his. And so knowing this, knowing who God is, the psalm then says, okay, well, how should we respond to that?
Yes.
And it tells us, we need to worship, we need to bow down.
Kneel before the Lord our Maker.
Yeah, it's a physical expression of reverence.
Yeah.
And then what's really striking, I think, is how quickly it shifts from this grand scale of creation to this very personal connection.
Yes.
It says, for he is our God.
We are the people he watches over.
Yeah, the flock under his care.
Like a shepherd. Yeah, exactly. This really intimate imagery.
But then there is this sudden tone shift.
Oh, yeah.
In verse 7.
Verse 7b, it says, if only you would listen to his voice today.
And it feels urgent.
It does.
Pay attention because...
Right, it's a warning.
Don't harden your hearts.
And it immediately connects that to the story of Meribah and Massa in the wilderness. So for someone who's listening, and maybe they're not, a Bible scholar.
They're like, Meribah, what? Yeah. What is this place?
Yeah. Well, basically, these were places where the Israelites, they were constantly testing God. Even though they had seen him do all these miraculous things, he delivered them from slavery.
Right.
And yet they still were grumbling, doubting, and basically just
challenging God's authority, even though they'd seen the proof.
Exactly. They had seen the evidence.
Yeah.
And Psalm even says, your ancestors tested and tried my patience.
Even though they saw everything I did.
Yeah. They saw the miracles, they saw the power, and yet...
they still doubted.
Still doubted. And so this brings us to the consequences.
Verses 10 and 11.
Yeah. It says, so I became angry with that generation. For 40 years, I wandered in the wilderness.
Their hearts were always going astray.
Right. They refused to follow my ways. So I swore in my anger, they will never enter my place of rest.
And that place of rest, for a lot of people, they think of that as the promised land.
Right.
But it represents so much more.
Oh, absolutely. It's about God's blessing.
His presence.
Yeah, exactly. And so the psalm is making this point that, disobedience has consequences.
Yeah.
And those consequences can be pretty severe. But I think the bigger question for us today is, what does a hardened heart look like?
Yeah. What does that look like in our lives in 2023?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. A hardened heart could be when you refuse to listen to other people's perspectives.
Especially if they're different from yours.
Yeah, exactly. Or it could be ignoring that little voice inside you.
That intuition.
Yeah, that intuition that's trying to guide you. Or maybe it's constantly choosing what's best for you.
Even if it hurts other people.
Yeah, putting yourself above everything else.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, how can we actively listen to God's voice?
Yeah, how do we do that?
I think it starts with being quiet,
Yeah.
creating space for reflection. Maybe it's reading something that gives you wisdom.
Like scripture.
Yeah, scripture or, books or articles. But ultimately, it's about being open.
Instead of defensive.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you look at Song 95, it's this really interesting balance.
Yes.
It starts with this invitation to joy.
Be joyful worship.
Yeah, and it's rooted in this idea that God is powerful.
The creator.
Yeah, he's the king. But then it shifts
to this very serious warning.
Yeah, be careful. Don't be like the Israelites.
Who didn't listen?
And they suffered the consequences. So I think it makes you wonder, what does this say about our relationship with God?
Yes.
Is it just about celebrating?
Or is there a responsibility?
Yeah, like do we have to be attentive?
Obedient.
Yeah, and I think that's something worth thinking about.
Yeah, that's something to ponder.
Yeah, it's a good takeaway.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.